If you are planning to sell your home shortly and a little bit concerned and nervous about the home inspection process, you have come to the right place, because today I have Robin here with 406 Home Inspection Pros, and he has graciously offered to share a few common seller mistakes when it comes to home inspections with us. I am Janet with Radiant Realty, your Montana realtor. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and stay a while and don't be shy. I love reading your comments and answering any questions you have. Also, if you are looking to sell a property or home here in Montana, I would love to help you. Please do give me a call and share more about your needs.
Okay, so for sellers, they're about to have the home they're selling inspected. It's important to make sure that things work. Change the light bulbs so that when I throw a switch on, I know if I've got the right switch, that it's working. So I don't want if the switch is bad, the wiring's bad, there's a problem with the house, with the light bulbs burned out. Change the light bulbs. Make sure that the batteries in your smoke detectors are fresh. So I'm going to test the smoke detectors. They need to beep. If they're in there chirping, it's going to get written up. If they don't work, it's going to get written up. Make sure that everything's unlocked. The shed, the garage if it's not attached to the house, the pole barn out back, the pump house if you have well equipment in a pump house. We need to be able to get into those things, because if we don't, we have to note in our report that we didn't, and it changes the way the buyer feels about the report and feels about the home, because they don't feel like they got the information they were looking for in its entirety. So that's important. So another thing that's very important for us as home inspectors is that your animals are secure. Cats inside the house that may run out of the house, we don't want to be keeping track of opening and closing the door, and sometimes they get out and we can't go chase them down. We don't know where they went. Also dogs. Dogs are very important. I'm sure you have the best, nicest, kindest, sweetest dog in the world, but we only have to be wrong one time before somebody's hurt. So we won't do an inspection if there's a dog free on the property, because I don't want my people bitten. So a seller being home during a home inspection is a bad idea, and it's a bad idea for the seller. The reason for that is if I am inspecting for a buyer, the buyer has paid me to find out what I can find out. Sellers tend to follow us around and explain stuff to us, and if they're explaining something to us, they don't know what criteria is going through our mind at that time, and more often than not, they're telling us things that trigger things in our mind that we have to look harder at a particular part of the house, because they're telling us things that are wrong when they think they're telling us things that are okay. So it's in the seller's best interest not to be home for those reasons. So pre-listing inspections are another subject that comes up from time to time. A pre-listing inspection is just like a normal home inspection, except for we go in and we're hired by the seller to find the things that are wrong with the house, so that this inspection report can be shared with any potential buyers, so the seller has the opportunity to go in and fix things that may be a hiccup in a sale. And it changes the tenor of negotiations between the buyer and the seller, even if the buyer decides to get their own inspector, because now it feels like the seller is being upfront and honest, and that's kind of a whole different feeling when you get into the negotiation process before closing. So another thing that's important is to be able to make sure that we can get to everything, such as the crawl space access is generally in the floor in a closet. Not always, but generally. And if the closet's full, we can't move all of that stuff out and put it all back, because we risk breaking things. We don't know what's in there. It's a liability issue. So make sure that we can get to the crawl space access. Make sure that if it's underneath some hanging clothes, that the clothes are moved so that we can get there instead of brushing up against the clothes. We're going to get dirty going down there. We don't want to get that all over your stuff. Making sure that we can get to the attic access. If it's in a garage, oftentimes in the ceiling, there'll be cars parked there or stuff stored there underneath it, and we can't get our ladders over the top of it. So being able to get to stuff goes back to the person who is having us do the inspection feeling like they've got a complete report, so they feel comfortable with their decision. So another thing that's important for a seller is to trim the vegetation around your home back off of the wall of the house. I mean, we write that up because the wind blows and it abrades things, and that just completely removes that as a factor. Make sure that trees are not overhanging the roof. Or that they're not touching the roof, because the wind will blow that back and forth and cause problems. Make sure that the rain gutters are clean, because these are all things that go in, even if they're just as a maintenance note to us. It's one less thing that a potential buyer has to look at, take into consideration, because they're going to be overwhelmed with everything that's in the report to begin with. So being able to avoid those small, simple things is in your best interest as a seller.
Wow, I hope that was extremely helpful for you. If you do have further questions, I will leave Robin's information below, along with my own. You can feel free to call me anytime at 406-890-5390, and I would be happy to answer any further questions that you have. Have an amazing week. Don't forget to give a big thumbs up, and I will see you next time.